Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 20 of Big Brother 23, and welcome to Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. A good Tuesday morning to y'all. Now, before we talk about the overnight feeds, let's talk a little bit about what's already happened in the house, a little unfinished business. First of all, we did have the veto ceremony yesterday. Christian had won the veto. It didn't appear that he was going to use the veto, pulling one off as much as Brittany wanted it. Just didn't see that happening, and it didn't. Christian chose not to use a veto, so Brent and Brittany remain on the block. One of them is going home on Thursday. Who's it going to be? I don't know. Yeah, I do. We all know who it's going to be. Brent is going home on Thursday. I can't imagine what kind of scenario could occur between now and then that would flip it around. Brent's going home. The only real question is it going to be a unanimous vote or not? I kind of think it is, but we'll talk about that just a little bit as we talk about the overnight feeds. The other bit of unfinished business, I had talked on yesterday's show that we had the Team Queens a little upset. They're in the Royal Flush Alliance, but there's 3 of them and there's 4 members of Team Kings, so they're feeling a little outnumbered. So as a result, and this is Claire and Tiffany and Kylan. So they wanted to bring in Derek X as a 4th and maybe even bring Hannah in eventually as a 5th so that they outnumber the Kings part of the Royal Flush. So we talked about that yesterday, but we now have that as an official alliance. Dun, dun, dun. Another alliance has been formed and they now have a name, and that name is the Detectives. So again, it's just them worried about being outnumbered by Team Kings within the big alliance. So they've brought in Derek X. So now they've got 4 to go up against the 4 from the Team Kings. So there you go. All right, let's talk a little bit about some conversations that took place yesterday, late afternoon and into the evening as well. Pretty long conversation between Kylan and Brittany in the yacht room. Just talking, it's kind of interesting because I hadn't seen Kylan and Brittany talking game that much with each other before, but they've been talking a little bit. Brittany just doesn't have a lot of really tight connections or alliances in the house. So it was good seeing her having some conversations with Kylan. And they're talking about some things. One of the main things is that Kylan is saying, hey, well, once Brent's gone, there's only going to be 1 team left in this house with 4 team members. All the other 3 of us each have 3 on our teams. The Kings are the only one with 4 people left. And that really, I'm hoping and I'm expecting someone that's not part of Team Kings will win this next HOH. And it sure would be nice if they kind of leveled out the playing field and took them down to 3 as well, right? Again, keep in mind, Kylan's worried about the imbalance that the Kings have 4 people. So he's kind of throwing the hints out to Brittany on that. Kylan is also talking, that's interesting, talk a little bit about the gender imbalance that 3 guys are gone. And he's saying the guys are worried that we could have a 4th guy the following week go as well. That's a possibility. Now he also says that, I feel like I'm pretty tight with the girls, so I don't know if that's a big effect on me or not. But he does say not only have we lost 3 guys, but each of the teams has lost their strong male member. And so, he's kind of saying, well, I'm mentioning Team Kings has 4 people we'd like to reduce to 3. And wow, who's the big, strong person in Team Kings? Well, that may just happen to, it is Christian. So he doesn't say Christian's name out loud, but it certainly seems like there's the implication or the suggestion there that Christian could be a perfect person to send out the house if Brittany or maybe someone else in the Jokers was to win HOH. They're talking a little bit about Team Aces. Kylan is saying, look, that the house just isn't certain about Whitney right now, how close she is or is not to Brent. And so just not sure what the house is thinking. Now, remember that Brittany and Whitney have a final 2. Brittany doesn't have a lot of connections, but Whitney is one that they've kind of at least pinky sworn a final 2 with each other. And so sure enough, Brittany is saying, look, I love Whitney. Whitney isn't coming after me. And so I'm not really going after Whitney either. So again, that's if Brittany was to win HOH, she's not going to come after Whitney. Does it make it a whole lot more likely that she comes after someone in Team Kings? That's a possibility. It certainly is. Now, I said Christian. Xavier's in Team Kings as well. Brittany has a little bit of a beef with Xavier, so I could easily see him going up on the block as well, or as a nomination. But I think Kylan would try to push towards Christian instead, protect the cookout and such. Brittany is complaining. She's complaining about being on the block again. Imagine that. Who would have thought that she'd be complaining about that? She's saying, I don't get why I'm on the block. I love Whitney and we're working. You know, I'm not going to put her up. She's not going to put me up, but I don't understand why Xavier wouldn't have put her up. It just doesn't make sense that he would have gone after me instead. It wasn't the best play that you could have done. But Xavier wanted to protect everyone in the Royal Flush Alliance. He also wanted to protect everyone in the Cookout, and really that left Whitney. And then why didn't he put up Whitney? Well, Whitney's been pretty good about flirting with people, including Xavier. And so, with all of that being said, there were just only a couple of people available, and Brittany got the short end of the stick. But she doesn't know all that. She doesn't know about those different alliances and why Xavier was limited in his choices. Let's see. And again, it's, Whitney flirting a little bit with Xavier, which may be the reason that he didn't consider her. Or, as Xavier put it, if he put up Whitney and Brent, it would have been too obvious that Brent that he was the actual target. By putting up someone outside the Aces alliance, he could try to hide that a little bit more. I'm not sure that whole deception's worked. Brent's very confident. I'm still not sure that he knows that he's going home, but he certainly has talked a little bit about it. He's had a few suspicions. Derek F., another conversation. Derek F. and Sarah Beth are playing pool outside, and he's saying that he's worried about Team Kings and he's worried about Whitney themselves. These two haven't talked much game and don't have any real alliances. So for Derek F. to be talking to Whitney, to Sarah Beth, I just thought that was kind of interesting. I'm wondering if Derek F. is trying to plant some seeds with Whitney. Don't go after the Jokers. I'm worried about the Aces. I'm worried about Whitney, and Sarah Beth, I think you should be as well. Again, they haven't talked a lot of games, so I think Derek F. is just trying to expand the social game and try to plant some seeds, create a little bit of paranoia, just in case she was to win HOH this week. We've got the Team Aces are talking in the Coral Reef room. Hannah is saying that if one of them was to win HOH, it just doesn't do any good for them to go after the Jokers. And she's right. The Jokers aren't the threat to Team Aces. It's that Royal Flush over on the other side. But she's saying, with that being said, if we go after the Kings as our targets, if one of us to win HOH and we go after the Kings, that makes us big targets as well. Derek X is talking and saying, look, I think the Aces and the Queens both might throw this HOH competition. We may throw the competition. The Queens may throw the competition, which really means it could end up being between the Kings and the Jokers. And I think the Aces don't necessarily think anyone's coming after them. Whitney shouldn't be thinking that, but Derek X is thinking that. And the Queens are kind of thinking the same thing as well. So just let the Kings and the Jokers go after each other, and they can just sit back and watch for this week. Again, Whitney better be careful, because her name has certainly been mentioned by the Kings and the Royal Flush as a target. So we've got in the bathroom, Alyssa is talking to Tiffany and Sarah Beth. She's letting them know that she says Hannah is going to throw the HOH, and Whitney wants to win, but I think Hannah may be able to convince Whitney to throw that HOH as well. Again, Whitney better be careful. She's not as comfortable or as secure as maybe she. I don't think she really thinks she's so secure. I think Whitney does want to win this HOH, but Alyssa thinks that Whitney may be able to convince her not to. Tiffany is also in the HOH room talking to Xavier a little bit later. She's telling Xavier that it's not enough that she wants Brent to go home. She wants the vote to be unanimous, so Brent knows that no one wanted to vote for him. She says for selfish reasons, she wants him to go home with an 11-0 vote and know that there wasn't anyone in that house supporting him. I think that's a little bit unnecessary. Just take care of business and move on. Don't make it personal. Don't make it a grudge, nothing else. Just if you want him gone, just make sure he's gone. But it does not have to be a unanimous vote. Later, she makes fun of Brent, saying that he's only 5'7", and that's not impressive to anybody. Now, here's the thing. Old opinion from Old Boss Hog. I am not on board with body shaming of anyone, regardless of how you think about them or anything else. You can just, again, take care of business strategically. If it makes sense to send Brent out the door, do it. But you don't have to be doing the body shaming. We can leave that alone. All right, around the pool table, we've got conversation. Kylan is saying that the Jokers don't know what's going on. They're clueless, and he's right. The Jokers, they just don't have a real good feel for the rest of the gameplay. Derek F. and Azah are a little bit protected by the Cookout Alliance. Brittany is just kind of off on her own without a whole lot of tight connections with anyone else. They are very much an isolated team, a little bit lost right now. And Kylan's recognizing it, saying they don't know what's going on. And I think he's referencing that Whitney and Azah could be targets next week, and that Azah is not really aware that she's gotten some people kind of rubbed the wrong way. She's had a little bit of beef with Tiffany. There's some people who've talked about it. Azah's playing the game a little too emotionally, with her getting so upset that Brittany's been put on the block. And so Azah's name's starting to show up on the radar a little bit as well. And Kylan doesn't know that she necessarily realizes that. Now, we do have, getting away from the game talk a little bit, real world situations inside the Big Brother house. Derek F. is not real happy with the conditions of the kitchen. Says, all you got to do is clean your dishes when you use them. It's not that big a deal, but there's dishes everywhere. There's a pigsty. No wonder we've got ants in this house. The kitchen is horrific. And he's right. I got to say, especially in the early parts of Big Brother, 14 people in that house right now, it is hard to keep the kitchen clean. Dishes continually appear. I don't know how many dishes I washed while I was in the house, but it doesn't matter, because as soon as you wash dishes, 5 minutes later, you look up and there's half a dozen dishes there as well. So Derek F's a little upset with it, and Kylan and Xavier trying to get him calmed down a little bit and coming up with some plans on how they can do a better job. But the solution, you just ride it out until there's fewer people, fewer dishes that you have to deal with on a daily basis. Or you find one person, like we had Kat in our season, who was a clean freak, and David Alexander too. They both did a lot of cleaning of dishes. And so hopefully there's someone that's going to be identified. Maybe it's Derek F., but I think he's a little tired of being the clean freak in this season. So find someone else that can help you do it perhaps as well. All right, we've got a couple other conversations. Tiffany and Claire are in the have not room. They're concerned, complain a little bit that Derek X is talking too much to too many people. Tiffany is saying that Brittany and Azah are really mad at her because Derek X told them that he threw the wild card competition to Tiffany. And she's saying he didn't have to say that. They kind of caught me off guard when they said he had said that. He threw it to me and all. And so they're not happy that Derek X is a little too voluntary with his information. They also are talking a little bit about the gender imbalance in the teams and such. And Tiffany is saying that she's not so upset that 3 teams are down a guy, and she'd be happy to see it happen to the 4th team as well and have them all down a guy. That doesn't break her heart. She's perfectly fine with that. At that point, Derek X comes in, and Tiffany is asking if they should still go after the Jokers next week. I don't know that it makes a lot of sense to go after the Jokers, but it does sound like Brittany could be and is being talked about as a primary target for next week. That could make for a brutal week. If Brittany's put up on the block for the 3rd week in a row, it's going to be rough to watch. She is not going to be happy. We are going to see some emotions coming into play from Brittany and Azah both, if that was to happen. Now, Claire says that if she's HOH, that she's putting up Whitney. That's who she wants to put up. She's saying that if they want to keep their alliance, and I think she's talking about this new Detectives Alliance, she's saying if we want to keep that low key, that we really need to put up a Joker, perhaps, or a pawn like Alyssa next to Whitney. So Whitney and maybe a Brittany, maybe an Alyssa. Not real sure, but Claire does say that's what she's going to do, put up Whitney. And Claire also thinks that if the Jokers win HOH, that they may take a shot at Whitney as well. And I could see that, but I also could see them going after the Kings, unless they are so worried about the target that they create by going after such a strong team. If they're not willing to kind of really put themselves on the line out there and go after a strong person within the Kings, then as default, they very well may go after Whitney. Brittany won't do it, but the others perhaps would. Tiffany is mentioning that if the Kings win HOH, they're really going to feel like they're carrying the queens. They're getting a little cocky. They're getting a little arrogant. And if they're a team of four and they win HOH yet again, that the queens, they're just going to think they're dragging the queens along, which could be good, could be bad in terms of perception. Tiffany's also saying that Christian, if he wins HOH, he would put up Derek F and Whitney. But Tiffany is also worried that if they go along with the plan to take out Derek F, and I hadn't heard of the plan to take out Derek F before, but if the Kings wanted to go after Derek F, and Tiffany and all of them went along with it, that they could lose the support of Brittany and Azah if that was to happen. So Tiffany's kind of saying, yeah, I don't know that going after Derek F's the best idea. She's trying to protect the Cookout Alliance, I think, when she says that. But in the end, Clara says, look, I think we just can't afford to win HOH this week and put targets on our own backs when we nominate someone. I think we need to throw it to the aces and let them take the shots at the Kings. And we just sit back and let this week happen and not be active participants in it. Lots of people this week talking about that they're perfectly happy throwing the HOH and letting someone else take control of the game. We'll see if that happens. It could be. We saw plenty of people throw it to Xavier last week, so we could see that again this week. They're all laughing towards the end. They're all laughing that Hannah and Whitney think the Mafia Alliance. And remember, the Mafia Alliance is between the Queens and the Aces. And they're all laughing that Whitney and Hannah still think that is a real alliance. It's not. It's gone away. It's the Royal Flush is the big, strong alliance. And then we've got the subgroups within that, such as the Detectives. We've got another conversation. Azah and Brittany are talking. Azah is telling Brittany, don't talk game with Whitney, Brittany. Don't talk to her about your gameplay, because she's saying that Whitney flirts with a lot of people and she's just not sure who Whitney is truly playing the game with. So if you start spilling your beans to Whitney, no telling what's going to happen, Brittany. She's also warning Brittany, saying, look, I know you're incredibly loyal, but just because you're loyal, don't expect that from everyone else in that house. You're going to pay the price if you think everyone else is going to be loyal. It's not going to happen. Azah is also telling Brittany, saying, you don't owe answers to anyone, because Brittany's saying people are putting her in an awkward position because she's on the block. And while she's on the block, people are coming up saying, if you got HOH, who would you put up? And Brittany's kind of feeling like if she doesn't answer, then maybe that puts her a little bit at risk because she is on the block. People could get upset and send her home. It's not going to happen. It doesn't matter what Brittany says. Brittany could say, hey, I'm not saying squat to you. Go away. And they're still voting Brent out. But Brittany is saying, I'm in an awkward position when people ask me that while my game's at risk. And Azah is saying, you don't know anyone answers. Just say you don't know, or you have to decide later. Don't give out names, Brittany. Do not give out names. Now, that's great information from Azah. She's absolutely right. In the game of Big Brother, you don't know anyone any information, and information is gold. Hold it close to the vest. So spot on, Azah. I don't know if Brittany will listen, but Azah's correct on that. And finally, we've got Azah and Derek F are talking. Azah is upset, and we know she's been upset. She's upset that Brittany has been used as a pawn twice. And she's saying, look, she's been put up on the block twice, and she's still not going after those people. She's still such a kind person that she's not going to come after them as a result. Now, that's kind of the problem. You've got to think ahead rather than behind to some degree. I agree. But when you've been put up on the block twice as a pawn, and you don't really seem to be immediately targeting the people that put you on the block, it does suggest to the rest of the people in the house that maybe they can use you as a pawn over and over again, and it's not going to get that much new blood on their hands and not going to get you so mad at them. So Brittany is running a very extreme risk right now that if she doesn't get sent home, that she's going to be considered that person that we have seemed like every season. I was kind of one for a while there. Every season where someone who just goes up on the block over and over again is a perpetual pawn. And the problem with that, one of those times that pawn turns into the person that gets sent home. Talk to me about that. So Brittany's in a little bit precarious position right now. So there you have it, guys. Again, Brittany and Brent on the block, but Brittany's safe. Brent's going home. but a little bit of posturing, planning based on what happens Thursday night with HOH. People are developing the relationships, trying to get some commitments and loyalties before that happens. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Tuesday. I will talk to y'all again tomorrow. We'll get updated. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. It may be a little bit more of a calm night until we get to the HOH, but we'll see. There's always things that happen. Y'all have a great Tuesday. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow, guys. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.